Now, Beta Weekend 1 for Call of Duty Vanguard is coming for PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 users as of this weekend. But with PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 users getting a little bit of hands-on gameplay with the alpha a couple of weeks ago, what kind of changes in terms of gameplay can you expect to see? Today we're going to break down the 10 plus changes you can expect to see from alpha to beta, and then we'll probably revisit this a little bit later on down the line from weekend 1 to 2 and then beta to launch. But today I want to examine those glaring changes you can expect to see here when you jump into the game this weekend. That said, as we go along, let me know your thoughts down below. Is there any change that you're excited to see here that has been made from the alpha to the beta? Is there anything that you want to see from the alpha to the beta or any change in general? Feel free to let me know down below. But if you enjoyed the video, make sure you drop a like down below. Let's aim for 1,000 likes here on this video. And of course, if you are new to the channel, with nearly 60% of viewers not subscribed to the channel, if you want to stay up to date with all things Vanguard and anything COD related, now's as best a time as any because we have a ton of stuff to go over. So if you want to stay in the loop, hit that subscribe button. That said, let's jump right into it. So right off the rip, we're going to be examining coming changes here in the next few days again, because as more and more time is spent on the beta by the global player base this weekend, there's going to be apparent fixes that need to happen, whether that be balancing of weapons and things like that, bugs and issues, or things that I would imagine come down to changes like the overwhelming lens flare on the map Voodoo, and all things in between. Changes are going to happen, but right now we know of quite a few actually that are already changing from the alpha to the official beta build here that you'll be able to jump into on PlayStation this week and Xbox and PC as of next. These offering a slightly different viewpoint of the game here coming up for some obvious and not so obvious reasons. So let's start out with the obvious ones here at this. The big changes are, well, we're playing traditional multiplayer. 6v6 upwards into the combat pacings of 24v24 at the max. Not sure how those playlists will break down here at this one. Whenever we were doing our play tests early and everything like that, they had to push through playlist updates to actually make sure that we could play all 6v6, 12v12, and 24v24. But whenever it's open up to the global populace here and not just a handful of like 50 to 100 players, that might not necessarily be needed. So maybe we actually do have all hands on deck with 6v6, upwards of 24v24, maybe even as of beta weekend 1. We just don't know that just yet. We do have 4 maps total though: Voodoo, Hotel Royal, and Red Star, all coming within weekend 1, and then Eagle's Nest in weekend 2 here at this. We also of course have access to Create a Class, the new weapons choosable to what you want to use, with 22 weapons up on offer: the STG-44, Itra Burst, Bar, NZ-41, Volk, M1928, Sten, MP40, revolving shotgun, auto-loading shotgun, MG42, DP27, Bren, M1 Garand, 3-line rifle, Kar 98K machine pistol, Rat, 1911 bazooka, Panzerschreck, and the FS fighting knife. Plus, we also, of course, have the Gunsmith returning here at this with all the perks on offer that we have in the beta. Likely not all of them. I'd imagine we get at least one more perk per weapon category here for the full build of the game, and all things that come along with that. So you can play around with the new 10 attachment system, the new proficiencies, the new kits, ammo types, and all that kind of stuff. We'll also have a proper ranking system to grind out through as well that will show, for at least the beta, how much of it you've actually played. Reaching level 20 here, which is going to be the initial max level, that's not too hard. So it's not going to have the prestige system or anything like that. It's not going to have camos to grind out, but you're going to end up having the ability to grind through a couple of levels within multiplayer. We'll also see, because that Create a Class is here, we'll have those weapon levels to grind through with a max of 30 right now, as detailed by Sledgehammer as of last week. There's going to be new modes on offer as well, with Patrol being the main one that we really haven't seen just yet here with that being the roaming hardpoint on a constant track around the map, which is honestly, I thought, a very fun mode whenever we played it. It was a cool take on what I describe it from the beginning, and what I'd still describe it as is sort of like Escort from the Black Ops games mixed with Hardpoint all into one. So it was an interesting breakaway from some of the stuff you may have thought you knew about Hardpoint and everything like that, and offered some new challenges with it. We of course have Champion Hill obviously coming back to that, and then Search and Destroy is going to be an air quote new mode, but for betas, because we've never seen Search and Destroy in a beta before, since betas were introduced back in Black Ops 3 as the sort of mainstay leading up to every single Call of Duty release. But that's again your obvious kind of stuff here. But in terms of technical changes, things you can expect to see on a fundamental level, one of the big ones was that of a visual change if you're damaged. Within the alpha, it was pretty problematic, the amount of screen darkening you had if you ended up taking damage or were down to like 1 HP here at this. So within the beta now, having taken a look at this, even if you're down to 1 shot, you still get a clearly visible indicator that you are that close to death, but you can still see the vast majority of your screen. The sort of blood effect is only on the outside, that outer edge of your screen, whereas the main focal points here are no longer dimmed, but instead are still very visible. You can still give return fire without losing visual on your enemy. enemy or anything like that. So personally, I think this is a good change here. It was absolutely super problematic once again in the alpha, so glad that was taken care of. Sledgehammer has detailed that the overall general brightness and visibility should be a little bit better here for this first weekend and going into the future here with this. That's something that, because there is such a larger experience here of 6v6 and all these new maps and everything like that, it was a little bit harder to pinpoint down exact examples here of where before and after it changed, but it seems like that will be changed out as well. Audio, it's described that they were making some changes to the non-player footstep audio being slightly increased. Non-player meaning the footsteps in this case that are not you, the player controlling it, so enemy and teammate footsteps, allowing for a bit more audible distinguishing. Non-player weapon volume being slightly reduced here at this, and that's something that, comparable to the alpha, is going to be incredibly beneficial for Champion Hill. Of course, if you were in a tense 1v1 or something like that, you could hear the gunfire audio from somebody in a different arena. That obviously would then potentially be problematic, could end up losing you the round, whatever the case may be. That should be adjusted here at this one. They also mentioned that the announcer volume and call-out frequency is going to be something that was adjusted, though I think that may need to be reworked or at the very least re-examined here at this, because in the beta here at this, Butcher calls out things like double, triple, fury kills and all, and in a chain-based succession here at that one, so he could literally call out all 4 of those things here at this. So personally, I don't mind that. I always thought that when like Halo did that back in the day, it was more hype than annoying, kind of gassing you up a bit like, man, you're killing it. But I understand why that's not everybody's cup of tea. So they also mentioned, finally, for audio, global mixing passes to improve informative audio for gameplay. That being sort of your audible context clues here at that. Audio occlusion, if somebody's closer to you rather than further away, you'll hear their footsteps, and like say if they're behind a wall or a somewhat hillside, the audio will interact with that barrier between you, and other contextual audio effects. Spawns were another thing that were mentioned here that would be changed from the alpha to the beta, though again, most notably these would be seen in Champion Hill, obviously for comparison, because we didn't have anything else other than Champion Hill to play in the alpha. There's definitely going to be making some changes here to the traditional 6v6 that I've already seen that are absolutely going to be adjusted here, hopefully by weekend 2, if not sooner. But the biggest out of the initial spawns that we can take a look at direct comparison wise were that of the initial spawns on Courtyard. You can no longer spawn directly at the enemy across from the map here, where you have 3 seconds of looking them dead center in the eyes. Instead, you're now sort of tucked away a little bit more at this. I will say though that even in Champion Hill, some of the spawns definitely still could use some work, but I'd imagine that adjustments are also being made, sort of a multi-step process to get them into acceptable places. Now, the final thing that I want to talk about here is one that isn't necessarily as confirmed, but a few weapons that I had seen fire with it, it seems like at least Muzzle Flash has been adjusted and toned down. The big one from my experience here from the alpha to then the beta here is that of the bar. Now, on screen is both before and after. On the left is again from the alpha pre-change, and on the right is during the beta, in the same conditions. And the only thing that I could maybe think of that would adjust any of the weapons before any change would be made would be that of something like a compensator. That'd be the only attachment that could have an effect on the Muzzle Flash here, but both in the alpha and the beta versions of the bar, in these screenshots, both have the G28 compensator equipped. So theoretically, their Muzzle Flash should be the same here at this, but for me, it looks like visibility has kind of been cleared out while aiming down sight, and the flash is more dispersed to the sides as opposed to in your immediate viewpoint of where you're shooting, not necessarily being as intrusive on your view. So here's the hoping that is 100% across the board here at this, and that it's not as intrusive when aiming down sight and tracking an enemy, because that was a pain here within the alpha. But that is the changes that we know of from the alpha to the beta, and what you can expect to see if you played in the Champion Hill alpha, what you can expect to see with the beta come this weekend. That said, that's where we're gonna wrap it up. I would love to hear your thoughts and feedback down there in the comment section down below. Is there any change that you think that we missed out here on this that you caught from some of the footage you saw already? Is there anything you hope is changed from the alpha to the beta? Whatever the case may be, feel free to let me know your thoughts down below. But hopefully enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to drop a like down below, and of course, if you are new to the channel, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a single thing regarding all things Vanguard and anything COD related. We got so much stuff here coming up, especially with Season 5 Reloaded for Warzone and Cold War still coming out here as of tonight. We'll keep you up to date with absolutely everything you need to know. That said, if you also want to follow me over on Twitter and Instagram, those are the best places to get connected outside of YouTube. Probably live on both those. If you guys want to strike a conversation, ask me a question, whatever the case may be, that link is down there in the description below. That said, thanks so much for watching. My name is Espresso. I'll see you guys later. Take care and peace.